Have you ever looked at your chart and thought, I know my sun sign, but I still don't understand why I love the way I do? It's possible that your Venus was missing. And if no one has ever walked you through it clearly, that is exactly what this video is for. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Lisa Freefeather. I work with women on self awareness and their patterns and the deeper architecture of who they really are. This channel lives at the intersection of the practical and the mystic, and astrology, when applied clearly, is one of the most practical tools for self awareness that I've ever found. So, if that's the kind of conversation you're looking for, stick around. Most of us come to astrology through our sun sign. It's the one that everyone knows. I'm a Virgo, I'm a Sagittarius, I'm a Pisces. And the sun sign tells you something real, but it describes the core of how you move through the world, how you build your identity, and where your energy is meant to go. But your sun sign doesn't tell you about how you love. It does not explain why you give more than you receive. It does not explain why you shut down the moment conflict shows up or why you keep choosing the same dynamic in different people or why intimacy sometimes feels like it costs you something more significant. That is Venus territory. Even people who know their chart well skip right past it. We learn astrology from the outside in, personality first, then slowly inward. And Venus tends to fade in the background or is paired automatically with another planet, like a supporting actress role, which is a shame because Venus is a planet that describes what you're actually reaching for when you're leaning towards another person. I brought up Venus recently in a video I made about Taurus. Now, Venus rules Taurus and Libra. It's in its home placement there. So it came up naturally in the context. And what came back from that conversation told me that there was more to say. Because when I started talking about Venus as a planet of how you receive, what feels like love to your nervous system, what you're actually attracted to beneath the surface, something shifted. People recognize themselves, not in a general horoscope reading way, in a specific, quiet, that explains a lot kind of way. I've been working with women on their inner patterns for a long time. And I know there's a lot of relational confusion, the giving too much, the tolerating too much, the choosing people who cannot fully meet you lives in the Venus placement. Not because astrology determines anything, but because your Venus sign describes a pattern that was likely operating long before you had language for it. So today we're going to understand it. We are going to go through Venus by elements. Now, before we get into all 12 signs, which is its own series, the elements give you the energetic signature underneath the Venus, the current it runs on. Now, these four elements, you all know: earth, fire, air, water. Find your Venus sign first, and if you don't already know it, you can go to astro.com or you can click on the app that I created for this community down below. Put in your birth date, your time, birthplace, and you look for Venus in the chart. It will be listed by sign. And if you have a hard time finding this, the Moon Compass app that I created spells it out for you really easily. All right. So then you're going to match it with these following elements. Earth Venuses are Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Water Venus is Cancer, Capricorn, Pisces. Fire Venus, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Air Venus, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Okay, so once you find those placements, you now know which element belongs to. Hold yours in mind as we go through each one here. All right, we're going to start with Earth. Earth Venus has one core desire: stability. This is not the Venus that falls fast on a feeling. Earth Venus says, show me, not through words, not through grand gestures that disappear after a week, through action, consistency, presence over time, the willingness to still be there when it's no longer exciting. If you have an Earth Venus, you love in a way that is steady, loyal, and deeply grounded. You are attracted to competence, emotional maturity, people who build things, who regulate themselves, and who say what they mean and mean what they say. You find physical touch and acts of service genuinely romantic. And you notice, and you always notice, the small things someone does or does not do. The shadow here, and every element has one, okay, is that Earth Venus can confuse stability with compatibility. It can stay in something long past its expiration date because leaving feels like instability, and instability feels dangerous. Oh, girl, I know this one well. I have a Venus Earth. So, Earth Venus can also become guarded in a way that it looks like strength, but it's actually protection. And when it's not being seen or met, it often overworks. It gives more practically, it proves its value through effort. If that landed, then that's your cue. Next, we're going to go to Water Venus, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Okay, Water Venus has one desire: merging. You can kind of get that about water, right? Not merger in a codependent sense, though that can be the shadow side, but real emotional union, okay? Connection that goes beneath the surface. Water Venus experiences love as something energetic, intuitive, and often inexplicable. Logic does not lead here. The body and the felt sense do. If you have a Water Venus, you're probably deeply emotionally attuned. You can feel a shift in someone before they say a word. You love through tenderness, emotional closeness, and the willingness to be fully known. You are attracted to depth, vulnerability, and intensity, and people who will not flinch. And let me say this again: people who will not flinch in the face of real emotion. The shadow, remember, I said every sign has it. Water Venus can idealize, can merge so completely that the line between yourself and another person begins to blur. It can become dependent on emotional reassurance in ways that exhaust everyone in the room. The fear of abandonment can run deep here. And it can lead to testing, sometimes consciously, often not, just to see if someone will stay. Water Venus also has a hard time leaving. When the emotional bond is strong, even when the situation has long stopped nourishing, if you recognize yourself, that's not judgment, it's information. All right. Now we have Fire Venus, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. For Fire Venus, one core desire: aliveness. This is the Venus that needs to feel something. Chemistry matters. Enthusiasm matters. Vitality matters. Fire Venus does not warm up slowly and build toward connection. It ignites or it does not. If you have a Fire Venus, you are expressive, bold, and genuinely magnetic in how you love. You are attracted to confidence, authenticity, charisma, and people who are fully alive in themselves. Adventure and spontaneity are romantic to you in a real way, not just in theory. You want to be inspired by the people you are close to, not just comfortable with them. Now, the shadow of fire, I know you're going to think burn. Fire Venus can mistake intensity for intimacy. I'm going to slow that down for a second for my fire signs. Venus can mistake intensity for intimacy, can chase the feeling of chemistry well past the point where it is actually serving them, can lose interest when things stabilize because stability to fire Venus can start to feel like stagnation. There's also a pull towards seeking validation through attraction, being wanted. You want me? Oh, I'm attracted. Oh, being wanted as a substitute for being truly, slowly, inconveniently known. Fire Venus often needs to learn that the heat that starts something and the heat that sustains something are not the same fire. All right. We're going to move to Air Venus, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Air Venus has one core desire: understanding. Air Venus bonds through the mind first: conversation, ideas, humor, perspective. These are not just enjoyable extras. This is how the connection is built and maintained. Air Venus needs to find you interesting, needs to be surprised by how you think, needs to feel mentally free. Needs to be surprised by how you think, needs to feel mentally free within the relationship. If you have an air Venus sign, you love in a way that is communication, curious, playful, and independent. You are attracted to intelligence, wit, originality, and people who expand how you see things. You want to learn from them. Real intimacy often begins for you in a genuinely good conversation. The shadow side, Air Venus can intellectualize what they're actually feeling, can analyze a relationship instead of being in it, can easily send mixed signals, deeply committed one moment, needing distance the next, without always having a clear reason why. There is also a tendency to prioritize freedom in ways that can create distance, even when closeness is what you actually want. Air Venus often needs to learn that emotional vulnerability is not a loss of freedom. It's a different kind of knowing. That's deep. Now, here's what I also want you to sit with. You may have heard your element and recognized yourself immediately, or you may have heard two of them and felt pulled in more than one direction. That's not a sign that the framework doesn't work. That is often because your moon sign or your rising sign or your sun sign are simply what you've learned growing into those layers, and your Venus made it harder to access or made a different pattern feel more familiar. Your Venus is not always the love pattern you lead with. Sometimes it's the one you're still learning to let yourself have. So here's what I want to offer you. Find your Venus sign if you have not already, locate the element, and ask yourself honestly, do I actually let myself love this way? Or have I been performing a version of love that feels safer or more acceptable or more like what I was taught love is supposed to look like? Because understanding your Venus is not predicting who you will fall for next. It's about understanding what you are actually asking for in connection and whether you're giving yourself permission to ask for it. That is where things get real. Tell me your Venus sign and your element in the comments. And if you have not pulled your reading yet from the Moon Compass app, the link is right below. Go find your Venus and let me know which one of the elements landed. If this video gave you something useful, share it with someone who's trying to understand themselves in relationship. And if you've not yet subscribed, this is a good moment to do that. Until the next time, mwah, bye for now.